So with these 9 different gates, it's basically starting the 9 different sort of life processes is how they
Mm-hmm.
frame it, that the root provides energy for, that ultimately makes its way to the throat, but only after it goes through one of these other centers.
It gets filtered.
Yeah. And so this is the energy that literally physically, like we talked about, gets the body moving. Design reveals who you are energetically and who you came here to be. I'm Dana, human design specialist.
And I'm Haley, the human design newbie. Listen in as we explore how leaning into your authentic self is your ultimate path to success. Today we're diving into
the root center.
Dun, dun, dun.
Lots of excitement.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Why?
Uh-huh.
Why?
This is my most defined center. I
Meaning?
have actual definition because it connects to my spleen, and then I have 5 defined gates.
That is a lot out of the 9. That's a majority.
Ooh.
Isn't
Odd
it?
math. Yes.
Yeah. Slight majority. Oh, and I'm looking at yours now and you have it kind of evenly balanced.
It makes me so happy.
It does, yeah. You've got 2 on the spleen, 2 towards the solar plexus, and 1 straight up the middle.
I love it. It's so even.
Yes, but you're correct. Yeah, it makes the one channel you have there, the 1858 definition, and then you also only have the head and the ajna defined. So yes, this is some consistent energy in you, but so far away from the the head and the ajna. So you would have what they call a large split in your definition, because it would take pretty much a very large party of people to connect all the pathways to get your centers connected, because
yeah,
there's no easy path there for you.
no, but I have at least 1 gate in every center.
It's more than I can say. You're right. You're right. And so debating about where to go next in the centers, and because we've done the spleen, the solar plexus, the will center, G center, right? Those are the ones we've done.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I guess
so.
we got some work to do.
That's what I said. What have we been doing?
What have we been doing on this podcast? I feel like
Are you sure we haven't talked about the throat?
No. I don't think so. Listeners, have we talked about the throat? I don't think we have.
Should really have a master list.
I do. It's just not in front of me. It's in my Google Docs, because I have to keep, copies of all the recordings and the filing. This is the most organized. This is the most organized thing I have, is my Google Docs, and really the episodes of this podcast, and keeping everything organized. It's probably the most organized thing I've ever done in my life.
My Google Docs is a disaster.
Well, I mean, it's on my desktop, it's got the syncing thing going, because I'm in lots of different places, so I can work on some of these documents at will. But no, we have not done the throat center. I mean, it's pretty bad. It's only 18. We've done 18. This will be if it gets published in the order we record them, be the 19th episode. Woohoo. Then I can't remember what we've done. I don't know. It's I'm thinking about all this stuff all the time, so it just feels like. But anyway, so with the root center, back to that. Since we have talked about the spleen and the solar plexus, I've been really wanting to talk about the root center for a while, because it is kind of where everything starts, that goes off, because we talked about the spleen, solar plexus, and those energies there. Well, they, obviously form channels with the root center, and it just kind of helps piece it all together. And so the root center is one of two pressure centers. Do you know what the other pressure center is?
The the head.
The
The
head,
head.
right? Top and the bottom, the head. That little was a human sandwich between the
Yeah.
head and the
Which lucky me,
root.
I have both.
I have neither. Well, I mean, I have them. They are both undefined and both
Yes.
completely open. So I have no definition in either one. It's an interesting
Mine are
conversation.
mine are heavily defined.
So the head is the pressure to just to think and to know, and the root center is the pressure to do and to basically stay alive. It provides, and it's associated, and it's providing adrenalized energy.
Mm,
So adrenalized energy is also associated with stress. And so, but it is this pure just pulse of energy is what the root center provides. And
mhm,
this energy is the, I kind of touched on a little bit, I think, talking about the solar plexus. I can't remember, but it is the drive to grow and evolve and survive. So if you think about it providing that pulse to do, it's like in the physical world of getting things going. And it's always moving forward. It's just looking to grow and get things moving. And that's the
okay.
energy. And it's a little too strong, that adrenalized energy, because it comes in those burst pulse kind of thing, to be directly connected to the throat. So it has to be kind
Mm,
of filtered and informing along the way through either the spleen, the solar plexus, or the sacral. It doesn't go straight to the throat. And there's good reason for
or
that.
like we cannot have this happen.
I'd be like, oh, um, yeah. So it's this adrenalized nature of this energy here is really, and like I said, talking about stress, it's really using that as fuel, as we said, this fuel to kind of get things moving and get things going. And also the root center is unique in that it is a pressure center, but it's also a motor, which I guess we should have mentioned that. So we're kind of talking about it.
We've talked about the
Obviously.
motors before, at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah, it helps direct the energy upwards. And so when we say there are pressure centers, if you think about that pulse of energy, it's the pressure to evolve and adapt to the world and get us through like our challenges and situations where we meet things that we need to kind of push through, get started. That's the
Hmm.
pressure. And so it is a pressure of like movement and going and doing and to keep things moving forward. And so when we are looking at it, there it's I think also for you, why you probably like looking at it's probably the most like in my opinion balanced, maybe symmetrical kind of looking
It
center,
is
because it
very
has,
symmetrical.
right, it has the three, it has 9 gates, and it has 3 on each side and 3 on the top. Of course, nothing on the bottom because there's nothing to connect there with. And as I said, I do not have definition in the root center. So as we were talking off mic here earlier, going through these centers and learning about the gates has been especially enlightening, talking to you about them, because if I don't have them, I haven't focused on those a lot. I mean, I've done,
Hmm.
readings and stuff for other people, but uh really it's interesting to get more insight into how it plays out for people, but also
Hmm.
how the absence and definition for me, how that's played out as well, which we're going to talk about here. So with these 9 different gates, it's basically starting the 9 different sort of life processes is how they
Hmm.
frame it, that the root provides energy for, that ultimately makes its way to the throat, but only after it goes through one of these other centers.
It gets filtered.
Yeah. And so this is the energy that literally physically, like we talked about, gets the body moving and gets
I
it.
do actually sometimes like feel like I just have to move.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I'll be sitting at my desk and I'm like I can't. I need to move, or I'll just start like fidgeting or slamming my thumbs on on the table.
Slamming
Like
your thumbs on the
not
ground. That's a
slamming, but like
weird. That's a weird.
beating them on the table in
Oh.
like a rhythmic pattern. Slamming was a bit aggressive. But it's like sometimes I feel like I just like have to move.
Yeah, I hear you. I could understand that. Um, I think mine comes from different definition, sacral definition. I think for me, because I have a lot of sacral definition,
Hmm.
and that certainly also because I'm a generator is energy that does have to be moved and used and exhausted. And I spend a lot of time in my head exhausting
Hmm.
energy, thinking, planning, researching, all that stuff,
Hmm.
and not moving my body enough. And I've been trying to do that more often lately because I do find that my brain does work better if I move around a little bit.
Hmm.
But anyway, so how we direct our energy, this adrenalized energy, is determined by your own unique configuration of your root center, obviously. And when you look at your chart, you'll be looking at it to see one, if it's defined or not, obviously. 60% is defined, 40% undefined. And it's either going to connect to one, two, or three of those other centers, sacral
Hmm.
root or spleen. And we're going to explore.
No, sacral solar plexus or
Oh, I
spleen.
said root, didn't I?
Yes.
Sacral solar plexus or spleen. Sorry. That's me in the future, not paying attention to the present. What I said. And so we're just going to really explore through the gates and what kind of energies these are pushing out to the centers, and how, if you have definition here, it might be playing it out and how you experience this adrenalized energy. But also, what's interesting about the root center, because we're also kind of talking about this off mic, how it's a pulse of energy, so it's not always on.
Hmm.
So it's either there or it's not. And
Right.
so a lot of times people ask, well, how do I know when it's going to be on? Well, you don't. It's not, cyclical. It's not always going to be there. Even if you're defined, sometimes it's going to have energy for you and sometimes it's not, right?
Hmm.
Um and when I say it's not, it's a little, like you said, it can be a little more sluggish, especially for you. You're a
Hmm.
projector. And so you don't have that sustainable sacral energy. So at the same time, even though you have root energy, you might not always feel like an energized person. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very fair assessment.
Yeah. But
There are
there
some
are
times where I'm like,
times,
I don't want to do anything.
yeah. But there are times like when it pulses on where you will get these bursts of energy. And because of where your definition is, it's usually moving, especially in a direction of something that you are working on or you feel like needs refining or correcting, or like when you have one of those projects to work on where you're making things better or you're doing stuff,
Hmm.
that's when it can really click in for you, is give you that burst of energy. But anyways, let's talk about this. What I would like to do here is, first of all, if we talk about the definition, like I said, 60% defined, 40% undefined. Let's look at what it means to be undefined in this center, because we know it's about adrenalized energy and pressure, right?
Hmm.
So if you are undefined here, and remember, undefined means it's white on your chart, and you might have gates that are activated or colored in, but the center itself is white, or it might be completely white, as in my case, with no gate activations, and that's called being completely open. The undefined root centers absorb stress from its environment and are more subject to pressure, that stress pressure from the defined roots around them.
Hmm.
So because we know that where you are undefined is where you are taking in energy, amplifying, and reflecting it back. So people who are
Right.
undefined in the root center feel this very uncomfortable pressure around them, right? And it gets to
Mm-hmm.
be so uncomfortable that they will do anything because it's not norm it's not, well, quote unquote normal. It's not their natural way of being to have this pressure to do. And so we tend to always trying to get rid of that pressure. Just trying to get rid of the pressure. What that looks like is
Mm-hmm.
like, I've got to get this done so I can rest or I can be free of this pressure. But the thing is, it's never done because more people are defined than undefined, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once as soon as you get done with one pressure, another one is there. And these are people that can get a lot done because they're amplifying that energy. They might be the ones that seem more like energetic or even more stressed than other people because they are trying to get rid of that pressure. So these are also people that could probably get the work done of, several people. And their bosses probably tend to pile more work onto them because they work quickly and they get stuff done. They want to get it done
Mm-hmm.
because it is a weird thing. When I first heard this, I was like, that is really true. I mean, because in my natural state, I always say in my natural state, I really don't feel like if I'm not around anybody for a while, I could literally just like, I can sit in a meditation. I could sit and stare out the window for a long time. But I don't, if I'm not around other people, I don't always feel that pressure to like be
Mm-hmm.
doing something. Remember, I've told, well, your dad's undefined there too, but um,
What about Ian?
Ian's defined root.
Mm.
But your dad, some, and maybe it's just guilt. I don't know what it is from your dad, but he will walk in the room and I'll have to pretend like I'm doing something.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
That's probably the manifesting part of him.
yeah, I'm moving. I'm moving. Promise. Just feel guilty. Um,
You'd be like, I haven't been sitting on the couch all morning, I swear.
I know, but he always would catch me. Like I would be doing other stuff, and as soon as he'd sit down, I'd be like, I'd sit down, he'd walk in. I'm like, "Ugh." But anyways, so because this is the result of being undefined in this area, people with undefined roots have to be really careful about really burning themselves out because they are always, like I said, there's always going to be another task to be done, another thing to be achieved. And they're always, running around trying to get everything done to get rid of that pressure. And this can result in kind of this uncontrollable like restlessness and an inability to focus because it's just like consuming this pressure that comes over. And what's interesting is especially little children who have undefined roots.
Mm-hmm.
And let's face it, most people don't know about this stuff. It's not in the mainstream yet.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody here listening, you're on the forefront of what they will know probably 100 years from now, maybe 50 years from now, to be common sense, common knowledge about our energy centers. But right now,
Mm-hmm.
it's not. And so imagine a child, little kid in school. I mean, I worked in schools, I saw them all the time. I didn't know what these kids' designs were, but
You were also
undefined.
probably this kid.
I don't remember being particularly like hyperactivity, but uh, I would say that children, if they are undefined and there is a lot of or energy in the room around them,
Mm-hmm.
they could be seen as these kids that misbehave or are they're not sitting down, they're not doing what they should be doing, they're always moving around, or they move too fast, or they're trying, when they could get like referred to therapists or even medication because they're just not given the proper guidance and tools by the adults around them.
Mm-hmm.
Which, just to be fair, if they don't understand it, this is energy is not something, or energetics is not something people can see. And
Mm-hmm.
we're not so keenly aware of it because we just don't know about it, which is why we're here talking about it. So y'all can know about it. So maybe
Wow. Full circle.
Full circle. Well, I think I said it before, but Raw, when he would always talk about how the voice, said that this
It's for the children.
information is for the children. So that, which, I mean, it makes total sense and seems like so much of a common sense thing to say, yes, if we could raise children as they were and treating them as they're meant to be treated, not like one size fits all,
Hmm.
how much happier the world would be
Yeah.
if you weren't, your whole life trying to figure out what was wrong with you because you quote unquote didn't fit into the norms. And
Hmm.
I don't know. Looking out the window, staring out the window. Deep thoughts. Well, I guess I was thinking about how I've always felt differently around little children, that I never like tried to baby talk kids or talk to them in that way.
Hmm.
I'd
Hmm.
always just like treat them like little humans, that have their own ideas and thoughts and needs and whatnot within boundaries, but uh I always hated the idea that that whole children should be seen and not heard kind of thing,
Hmm.
and how people just try to discount children as not being like thinking, feeling
Hmm.
beings, just because they're young.
Hmm.
Whereas, I mean, they're fun to talk to sometimes.
Yeah.
Talk to a little kid. They're fun. Anyways, I'm getting off center. Off center. I'm getting
Well,
off topic.
well, I also say that kids can be a lot more perceptive to like supernatural things too, because they haven't been like told or whatever that,
Hmm.
oh, that's not real, that's not real.
Well,
And
yeah,
so
they say
they're more perceptive.
they're more perceptive and they're more closely tied to the other realms, because when we talk, what was it, I remember the episode we were talking about the um mysticism, Kabbalah mysticism, we were talking about, and it says an angel, like the
Oh
Cupid's
yeah.
bow, the lips,
Yeah.
the
What
angel
what was
touched
that?
their lips and said, was like, shh, like you won't, now you forget
Now
everything you
forget.
knew. Hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the sensitivity of young children for sure. And then what
Hmm.
do? We start conditioning from a young age. No, you're not seeing that, or no, you don't have an
That's
imaginary
just your
friend.
imaginary friend.
Yeah, you don't have, there's nothing there. You don't see that,
Hmm.
we just tell them nope, 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 nope. Anyways, so yeah, you can see how knowing your child's design and your own design and how they interact can certainly help. I did not have it when you were young, but my little projector, you just kept guiding us in the right direction. Always letting us know when we needed to correct course. But anyways, so what's important for people with the undefined root centers is to know that a lot of times this pressure, this stress they're feeling may not be their own. It may be from the environment around them, which, like I said, you could start situationally looking at where do you feel it more often. I mean, obviously, probably in a work environment, or if you're in school or whatever, and maybe certain family members. Obviously, it's not um, possible, most likely, to know everybody's design. I mean, you could probably figure it out in your family, but not, your coworkers and everything, unless they're open to that. But this is where we talk about all the time, spending a little bit of time by yourself, finding your baseline of how you normally feel, and just kind of paying attention to, if you're undefined, how do I feel when I'm alone? Do I have this same kind of pressure? And I mean, like, not just 5 minutes away from somebody. Sometimes, it takes a little bit longer for that energy to dissipate, but maybe like how you feel when you first wake up in the morning, unless you're sleeping next to someone with a defined root. Do you always feel that pressure to be doing something, or does it accelerate or feel more intense around others? Just kind of
Hmm.
observing it. And then, because that can really help you to not act on everything, right? Because
Hmm.
I've noticed it since learning this around people I work with, is like, working at the flower shop part time. boss has a defined route, and I do find myself, I'm the fastest mover in there. I mean, granted, a couple old ladies, but I'm just always trying to get things done, really, and get out of there. But really just trying to get my tasks done so it's done, right?
Hmm.
But I noticed lately, I'm like, okay, is this even mine? Because even I can feel myself preparing when I'm getting there. I find myself rushing and doing this stuff. And
Mm,
I'm like, no, that's probably not,
that's not me.
that's not me. Because I will notice that the defined roots in the room are definitely not in as much a hurry. But, anyways, so that means it all comes down to strategy and authority again for your undefined, just paying attention to how you're feeling and when you should act and not always just acting because you feel the
Hmm.
pressure. And enjoy some time alone to get out of that pressure. And so your open centers are your undefined centers is where you're here to be wise and where you're here to learn. And so you're here to learn how to stress functions and how to use it properly because you can use that adrenalized energy in a constructive way. It can give you, it can be that like excitement and that feeling that gets you to do something. Like, say,
Hmm.
um, if you are, I don't know, an example that's given a lot is if you have to like give a speech or do something like that. You know, it's like that adrenalized energy, that pulse of energy can give you the energy to get up there and do it, but it could also too much of it can give you stage fright and the same thing and just completely
You
close you
literally just
down.
said giving a speech and my stomach just twisted in a knot.
Yeah, well, not for everybody.
Not my thing.
Yeah, so it can be used for in positive ways to help you out. And so really, yeah, question, is this my pressure? Do I really need to do this? Am I just trying to relieve pressure? Is this something I really want to be doing? Another thing for undefined root, especially open root centers, nature is a
Mhm.
good balm to help kind of soothe, get away from all that
Mm,
energy from people and getting out in
mm.
nature and allowing just kind of that to help you. Okay, so moving on to the defined root centers. This is where you want to be. You're excited to get going. Okay,
Peace.
so when you look at the defined root, it's going to be connected, like I said, to one of those three centers or all three. And I think I'm going to start in the middle, even though it seems to you probably not where you want to start. But it's
Mm-mm.
important because it's important to start in the middle where it's connected to the sacral because there's three channels there, and these are called the gates off the top of the root center are called formatting energies. Okay.
Mm.
And so they determine whether that energy is going to operate in either a logical, focused way, which is on the gate 52, right? It's
We're on the
52.
right.
Yeah, 52,
Hmm.
that channel 952. Um, whether it's going to be more abstract formatted energy, which is more experiential, multiple experiences and cycles with beginnings and endings. There's that cycle of a beginning and an ending on the other side with the 53.
Hmm.
And then up the middle with the gate
16.
60. I'm thinking of the whole channel, so I'm like, it's the 60 that comes off the root.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and that's the individual knowing circuitry, knowing channel. And so that's also, since it's individual circuitry, it's very mutative. Remember,
Mm.
it's there to help because the individual circuitry is mutative. It's the individual that just kind of does its thing that then creates change around it. And that is definitely that on and off bursts of mutating energy. And so if you have any of these formatting energies from those three gates, they have a lot of influence, especially if you have the channel. They have a lot of influence in your entire design.
Mm.
and how people coming on. So what I want to do is look at those um, gates real quick as we talked about them. So the gate 53 is called development, and it's the gate of beginnings. And in quantum
Ooh.
human design, it's the gate of starting. And so this is the pressure to begin and to start new things. And it contains that energy for getting things started. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's full of good intentions and is notorious starting energy and struggling to get them finished. Especially if they don't have the full channel. If they don't have
Mm,
the 42, it can be a struggle there for starting and finishing. But that is the cyclical nature there in that circuitry. And
mhm,
so quite possibly there's lots of unfinished projects with gate 53 without the full channel.
mhm,
And so if somebody with this energy is forced to finish something, it can be just kind of very arduous and very difficult. It's not fun always
mhm.
because the energy for finishing is just not always there. And which I've said this to Presley many times. He has the design of really what he wants to be. He wants to be this like angel investor, startup,
I asked him.
entrepreneur kind of
I asked him
person.
yesterday. I was talk more specifically about his current endeavor. I was like, "What do you like? What do you envision with this?" And he's like, "Well, I don't care what it is." He's like, "I want to be bouncing between multiple different companies."
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "I don't care if it's selling random things on Amazon or if it's
Mm-hmm.
just like doing something completely random." And he's like, "I
Mm-hmm.
don't care what it is. I just want to do it."
Yeah. And that is so in line with his design because not only does he have gate 53, it's his conscious sun. I mean, conscious earth. It's his conscious earth. And so, in order for him to express his conscious sun energy, which is 54, which is another starting energy, he definitely has to be doing that. He has to be, you know, it's very fulfilling for him to be at the start of things, and
Hmm.
he has the definite energy for that. But like we were talking about, the energy is not always there, and so it can also feel frustrating to him at times because he has this energy to want to start, but it's not always the right time.
Hmm. And
And
he
and
doesn't
he
quite.
tries to work against that because
Yes.
he has he has the time he has to spare because he's very busy and he
Hmm.
wants it to fit into everything, but it's not
Yes.
always there. And so that's definitely something that he will be working with in his lifetime, is just trusting the timing of things. And that's strategy and authority. So he's a sacral generator. That's his
Hmm.
authority, yes or no. Anyways, so it says, there really is a great energy for a startup manager, not a project manager, not somebody that's got to see everything come through to completion. That's you, but startup initiating, doing that. And yeah, so that is gate 53.
Yes.
So as we move to the middle there to gate 60, which is called limitation,
Oh.
and it's the gate of acceptance, and it's also in
Hmm.
quantum human design, she calls it the gate of conservation.
Oh.
And this is an interesting gate. This is the pressure to mutate into transcend limitation. Okay, so that's a mouthful. All right,
Even just a little bit.
a little bit. And so this is really conservative energy in the sense that it is old or established energy,
Hmm.
where old genetic energy meets up with new information to create a mutation. So, what that means is it is this older, established, more conservative things that has this, there will be this pulse, this mutate to change, but this energy is like, whoa, 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 well, let's think about what has been working and what we know works and conserve that,
Hmm.
know our limitations before we start changing and moving towards something new. Does that make sense?
Think so. I don't like change.
Do you have this game?
Uh-huh.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Uh-huh.
Um,
It
yeah.
is in the second, it's in the personality side, the second up from the bottom, whatever that is.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, this is, yeah, okay, so this makes sense because this is not impulsive change energy just for
That's
the
not me.
sake, yeah, just for the sake of change. It's very deliberate and practical, accepting, the limitations within what you're working with and making the best of it. It's conservative.
Hmm.
And what's interesting is it says if you're looking forward and you're looking for change, what's important to focus on here is to focus really, it's very optimistic energy and is to focus on more on what you want to change instead of what's not working. So, because when we talk about wanting to change, you kind of want to keep your eye on where you want to go.
Hmm.
And that's this energy here can carry that so that when you're ready, when the mutation comes, when the pulse comes, when it's on, you know where you're going, right?
Right.
Because you've determined, I want to take this energy, I want to keep this part of this situation, and I want to focus on where I'm going instead of like all the things that aren't working. So
Hmm.
that's gate 60. And then moving over to the logical circuitry, gate 52 is the gate of stillness or gate
Ooh.
of inaction
Oh,
in perspective.
stillness sounds a little bit nicer than inaction.
Yeah. Um I love that this channel here, this 952. I love the analogy of how I learned about it, about focus and concentration, because it is called, your brother has this channel,
I
and
have the nine.
its full channel is called concentration. And it is this stillness in the sense that gate 52 is that big picture of like big picture thinking,
Hmm.
and it's the pressure to focus your energy into concentration. So it's not always on, like we said. And
Hmm.
so people with this energy marker, this definition, they have the ability to sit very still and concentrate. Sometimes for long periods of time. They can be very focused.
Hmm.
Um, the examples like the wildlife photographer, someone who can sit
Oh.
and wait in stillness. They are in stillness and just waiting for something to happen. So it's being able to concentrate on the goal, to hold your focus on the big picture and wait until the time to take right action. And so the analogy that I was shown and learned, which made it click for me, is like the hawk circling high above, or an eagle high above. It's just circling, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
waiting. I mean, it's a bird, so it can't just like, but it's focus. It's just kind of up there waiting for the right opportunity. And for a bird of prey, let's say, it would be when it spots and sees what it's going after. That's what
Hmm.
the gate 9 does in the sacral, is it gives it that point of attention of where to focus that
Mm.
energy and go. Right. So it's if you have that full channel, it's having that energy to kind of wait and
Hmm.
wait until the pulse comes and you can strike. And if you have the full
Laser
channel,
focus.
yeah, if you have the full channel, you know exactly
Hmm.
where to go and what to do. And so that's gate 52. So now let's take a trip over to the spleen center.
What are these ones called?
So if you have connections to the splenic center from the root, as my dear daughter,
I do.
um, this is relying on your survival consciousness and your kind of existential, your awareness of your
Hmm.
existence, right? And a physical body is relying on those instincts to help you deal with the pressure to survive. And it's when the correct timing is, when it's time to move. And so this is very much about being in the physical body,
Hmm.
because this is going through the spleen, that, and the spleen is that
In the
more
present.
in the present, but also survival, instinctual awareness of when the
Mm-hmm.
time is right. And so this energy here is very much about physical movement in the body.
So do they have a fun name like the top ones? Top ones were the formatting.
No, no.
Oh,
Format energy is something unique to those three
oh, they're
channels.
extra
It's
special.
well, it's because it goes through the sacral, so it's
Mm-hmm.
like that pure root to sacral, like providing that energy there for because if you are defined there in that way, there's a lot of energy there with those centers. Okay, so starting over at the bottom, the gate 58, which that's your channel, 58,
Yes.
18, 1858.
Mm-hmm.
Gate 58 is called the joyous, and it's the gate of joy and vitality.
Mm.
She calls it vitality in quantum human design. And this is the pressure to correct and make perfect, to make things
Oh,
better.
oh, there it is.
Which, if we remember when we talked about the spleen center and
Mm-hmm.
that how it goes up to the throat, the connections it makes to the throat from the 5818, the 48 to 16, it is a lot of refining energy, of knowing what needs to be corrected and going deep on that and knowing and all that energy there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so funny because I'm looking at you and it says it's the joy of life. And people with this gate always have a smile on their face if they're living in their strategy and authority. They have an intuitive understanding of joy and tend not to take things too seriously if you have this energy.
I
Um,
feel like that's me.
yeah, and the energy here, it stems from the energy of mastering and correction, and that's that refining piece we were talking about. It's about getting really good at it, knowing what
Mm-hmm.
needs to be corrected and making it, mastering it, correcting it, making it perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no perfect, but doing the best they can. Likewise, when they're not following their strategy and authority, these are people that also could be very bitter because they understand the potential for joy, but they're not able to experience it because they're not acting at the right time. They're not following their strategy and authority.
Mm-hmm.
Things aren't working out as they hoped. So it's important to wait for the right timing. And so we can't always know when things are going to happen, but that means if you stay with this gate focused on joy
Mm-hmm.
and gratitude, those kind of things, when the time is right, when you can make that, you get that pulse of energy, you'll know that you're moving in the direction that's right for you. Does that make sense? Um,
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so that is gate 58. It is also a rather critical energy. Don't use it on yourself.
Oh,
Don't turn it inward.
yeah.
But having a critical eye is good, can be used for good, can be
Mm-hmm.
used, for not so good. I don't want to say bad. It would only be detrimental, like I said, if you're focusing it on yourself and all the things that are wrong with you and what
Mm-hmm.
you didn't get right. And I never do it right. You don't want to do that.
I
So,
definitely see this if I'm like out somewhere, like if I'm in a store
mm-hmm.
and then like people haven't put like things back on the rack correctly or whatever, I'll go and fix it. And
You
then,
fix it.
yeah. And then there was one night we were leaving a bar and it was one of those doors where one door has like a lip to like catch the other
Oh,
door,
yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And people when they
I
were
have
leaving,
cabinets that do that when it does the other ones on top and it
yeah,
makes you
and so when
crazy.
people were leaving, they did it incorrectly. So I held the door for our whole group to leave and then I fixed it.
Oh,
Because it's
boy.
just little things like that. I'm like, it's just such an easy little fix to make it right.
Well, yeah, what I will say that when I first started learning a lot of this stuff and I saw your design, I'm like, oh yeah. But that's also, it's like it is a strength of yours as well. I mean, you've got to temper it, you can't go overboard, but it is something that makes you really good at a lot of things that you do, being able to know what's And with the other energies you have as well, know what's um, needs to be corrected. You've got also that gate 60, what needs to, we don't want to just, get rid of everything, throw everything
Mhm.
out. There are things that, because you do have that sense also of you are a traditional girl in the family. You are the one who holds on to all the traditions, aren't you?
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
Things that, you are, no, we are not changing this.
We do stockings and then breakfast and then presents.
Unless something better comes along, you could maybe be open to it. But you definitely have that
Yes.
conservative energy for sure. Okay. Okay. So moving up to gate 38, opposition, gate of the fighter,
Ooh.
which in quantum human design, she calls it the visionary. And
Mm,
so this is part of the channel of struggle, which gets a bad rep. We kind of talked about it a little bit. Everybody's
mhm,
like, oh, I got struggle in my chart. I'm going to struggle my whole life. Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean it has to be a bad thing. There's a purpose for it. Remember, this is not punishing energy here. This is
mhm,
like energy that is here to help you grow and evolve. And this is the energy of knowing what is to fight for. And so, this pressure that you're feeling here is the pressure to find the struggle for purpose in life. Okay.
mhm,
And it struggles to know what's worth fighting for. And it seeks purpose and meaning to life and pushes us with that adrenalized energy to find that purpose. Right.
mm,
And so,
mhm,
people with this energy can be somewhat stubborn.
mm.
Someone that you live with has the full channel. Um,
Oh, of course he does.
yeah. So, especially when they have determined that something is valuable, and they will hold on to it and fight for it and not let it go because that's what they're designed
Mhm,
to do. Which, if you think about it, because it's connected to the spleen, again, it's this energy of knowing what is worth fighting for, your survival, really.
mhm,
And people that carry this energy can really help change the world because they are going to be the ones that are going to have that determination, because especially if you have the full channel,
mhm,
but of knowing what is worth it, right? And so it can also conversely leave people with this energy of kind of feeling like they don't fit in and life is always kind of a struggle. And that's more if you're on the low, and especially like if that pulse of energy isn't on, it can feel that way too,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
Because this root center energy is tied to adrenalized and stress energy, and the power to do. You're
I was
squinting
looking at
at
my
me.
glasses,
I
sorry.
know. It can really correlate with physical energy, like we were talking about earlier. If the
Mhm,
energy is not, that people can feel less physically inclined, even though they have root energy and access to that energy when it's there, but it
mhm,
can also not be there, and it can physically make people feel a little off and sluggish. And then if they are defined and they are feeling less energy and they try to push through it, that's where they get into trouble with
mm.
burnout, which this leads to, or not leads to, but this also the discussion point here of conditioning in a defined center can be
Mm,
very present in the root center, because
mm.
our whole culture and society is set up to
Go, go, go.
go go go, don't have downtime, don't value time where, oh, I just don't have the energy
You
for it
have to
today.
always be productive.
You have to
Always.
always and push through. I mean, how
Mhm.
many times you just push through the hustle and grind culture, right?
Hate it.
Bullshit.
So not me.
Part of the work we're going to be doing here is busting the myths around hustle and grind. It's not true.
Boom.
Boo. Drop your microphone. I don't think that's a mic drop moment, but anyways. um
Appropriate boom.
yeah, so back to gate 38. and part of this channel is struggle, opposition. Again, if you're following strategy and authority for whatever that is for you, if you're waiting for the invitation or waiting for something to respond to, or any of those things, if you wait the correct timing, it'll show you the correct struggle and what is worth fighting for, and help you find the right people to share that with, who will
Mm.
probably also help you with your cause. And so that's gate 38. And then real quick, I wanted to Presley 38. So Presley is 38, 40, 54, 53, and 60.
Wow, he's
So,
got a little triangle or a little corner there.
well, that's what I was saying when we were offline. It was that this conversation can maybe help you, help him, help you, help him. Because the next one, the Marrying Maiden, it's called Gate 54, the Marrying Maiden. It's the gate of drive
Oh,
and divine inspiration. And this is the pressure to achieve and to rise up and to transform. And so basically, this translates to the gate of ambition. Remember,
I
this
have
is his
this
sun
gate.
gate. Yeah, you have
Oh,
this gate, and this is his sun gate, gate
this
54.
is okay. That makes a lot of
So,
sense.
right. So he has that drive, that ambition, right? The pressure
Hmm.
to achieve and to rise up,
Yeah.
working hard to fill its dreams and get recognized. It's also with that being his sun gate. And then he has the 53 as his earth gate, which is that starting things. Like I said, when I looked at his chart, I'm like, you definitely, I can understand why you feel the way you feel and what to do, the things you want to do, because you have lots
Hmm.
of ideas with your defined head. He is very logical in a lot of his stuff,
Hmm.
but he has so much starting and initiating energy in his chart, other than, he's not a manifesting generator or a manifester, he's a generator. So he
Hmm.
has a lot of energy and a lot of drive.
Yeah.
And that in turn, if he's not responding to things and not waiting for the right time, frustration, because he's a generator, so much frustration, right?
Yes.
Which he feels because he does have a
Hmm.
lot of energy and he wants to be always starting things. So I told him anything that, puts him in that position, which I think, the job he's in now, I think there's a lot going on and he always needs to be kind of challenged to find something new, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And that is happening a lot. And I think anytime he'll get to a job where it stagnates and it's the same old thing, he'll be out of there.
That's what happened at the previous job.
Yeah, that's what happens because that just doesn't feel right for him.
Mm-mm.
Um,
Yeah,
so
he hates not doing anything. He hates like
what does
sitting
he
around and
say?
watching
What
TV.
does he say? He said it like, Haley, if I'm not doing something that is, what is it, moving towards my future or providing my future, something, he said it like that, then what's the point?
Basically. Basically. Basically.
He's always looking at the future. However, that's going to be one of his biggest challenges and lessons in this lifetime is being more present where he is.
Hmm.
But
He is heavily future focused.
yeah, right.
And I'm like, I don't think about that at all.
Yeah. But yeah, when the dreams of the energy, if somebody has this gate, when their dreams are like supported and recognized and it's the right time, I mean, they can do big things, and especially in business. I mean, this gate is like one of the business circuitry gates. This,
Mhm.
this is definitely, this whole channel is tied to business. So
Business.
business. So anyway, um,
The
so that was
Marrying
that. So we
Maiden.
did the sacral. So we're going over to the
Solar
solar
plexus.
plexus, right? So
There's
the
an
solar
echo in
plex.
here.
So the solar plexus being the emotional center, emotional energy. If
Hmm.
you have definition from the root to the solar plexus, you have a fixed way of dealing with emotional stress, with personal and social relationships. You also have a more fixed way of dealing, fixed, consistent, let's say, way of dealing with things that are new and desirable. It's this pressure of feeling emotional awareness and emotional intelligence. So
Hmm.
obviously, it's just going to be tied to relational and feeling and desirable things. So let's look at those gates real quick. We'll just start at the top. Why not? We'll just kind of go down this way. I don't know. It just feels right to go down across.
We started at the top.
Where do you want me to start? What makes you feel better?
41. The
Okay, we'll
bottom.
start at
Because
41.
that's how we did the other side.
Okay, all right. Gate 41 is called decrease. Decrease.
Oh.
Gate of contraction, but also in quantum human design, gate of imagination. And so this is the pressure to feel and the desire for new experience, which this should sound familiar because our last episode that we recorded together, I think, was the emotional solar plexus. I say together, like we've done separate
Are
episodes.
you recording without me?
I have a whole nother podcast. No, I don't.
No.
Okay, so it connects to gate 30, which was that gate of passion, right? And so it's having that energy to have a vision. It starts with, it's where, even though visioning seems very much a mental process, right? This is more like that daydreaming initiating energy. It's allowing yourself to kind of dream of what you would like to have, right? A dream of where you'd like to start. And it's an energy that brings in new ideas and experiences into form. Because when we talked about having gate 30, having that passion, we were saying, but if you don't have gate 40, you don't really know where to focus, or gate 41, you
Gate
don't really
41.
know to focus that passion and that energy. It's just like looking for focus. This gate 41 can give you that focus of what you want to pursue, the desires that you have to fulfill, experiences you want to have. Because remember, it moves over, that side of the chart is very much, as it passes through the solar plexus, the throat is very much experiential energy, because it's part of that abstract circuitry as well. And so this is very much about visualization.
I have this gate defined in my conscious and unconscious, and I don't resonate with any of this.
Well, let's see where it's for you. Okay,
The
well,
third one up from the
okay.
bottom, whatever
So
that
that's
is.
interesting, because that's in your uh, gate 41 is in Uranus, right? Yes, that's Uranus, which I think is one of the future episodes we'll do, is about the planetary influences on the gates. Well, one thing to say is also that some of these outer planets, the influence is not always felt as much. The energies of some of the themes of some of the gates, more the, what do they call them, the inner planets, the Mercury, Mars, Venus, those are the inner planets, can feel more intense in your chart, which I said we'll do some planetary stuff. Should do a little more research there. But it is quite possible that there isn't a real resonance. I mean, that happens in a lot of people's charts for sure. And it may be, though, that maybe the way I'm explaining it, you might feel like I am explaining it in more of a creative endeavor, of like, when you say somebody's a visionary, they have a vision, right? And what they want to work towards. Now, you only have the gate, you don't have the full channel. And so it might not feel so energized, some of these visionings or whatever. But I will say that I have seen you be someone who does, quote unquote, hold a vision, in the sense that, what are you doing right now?
Oh, I'm wedding planning.
You definitely had an idea and a vision. You had to find a way to form it and bring it together, but you initially had, before you started looking for the components to put it together, do you feel that you had an overall, once you settled on where you're getting married,
I mean,
bringing a vision to life? Or even when you did like your yearbook work in high school, or
yeah.
when you redecorated a bathroom in our house, it's like it starts with an idea.
Yeah. I mean, For like the wedding, yeah, I guess I did kind of have like an idea in the back of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't see myself as like a daydreamer or anything like that. I mean, my mind will wander, but I'm not like thinking about what I want or anything like that.
Well, when I say daydreamer, it's like if you're talking about, because we're talking about like formulating an idea or a vision, right?
Hmm.
And I think what it means when it says daydreaming is it's a looser kind of energy of not trying to mentally process it and analyze it, but just kind of allowing yourself to kind of be like, well, what would it be like if,
Yeah.
how, how could I, I have this vision of the, how I want it to be or where I want to go or what do I want to experience?
Hmm.
You know, you kind of, it starts with an idea with that impulse
I
energy so that when the
definitely had
time is
that.
right, you kind of have a vision so that when
Yeah.
you get that pulse, you know where to direct it.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think like when I did the yearbook, I
Mm-hmm.
had that because it was like I just immediately had the idea of what I wanted
Mm-hmm.
and like pretty much knew exactly what it is that I wanted it to look like.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure. I would have to go back and listen, but I might as well just say it again. I don't know if I mentioned it. It said it is the desire, or not desire, it's the pressure to
Hmm.
feel and the desire for a new experience. Did I say that?
Yeah, I think you did,
Okay.
but it never hurts to say it again.
Yeah. Especially now that we've gone around. Yeah. So when that timing and when you're following Friday, strategy and authority, then if you have this vision of what you want to have happen, then when the energy's there, you can kind of focus it in that direction. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it's not like
Hmm.
necessarily the idea, but it's a focus point for that energy. So okay.
Well, maybe
Okay.
since it is such a out there planet and the root is already this pulsating energy, it's just there have
Mm-hmm.
been very few times where I have actually felt that energy. So that's why it
Yeah, you
doesn't
might not
really,
just be as aware of it,
yeah.
but also other people could look at you and say, yeah, I mean, it was pretty easy for me to pinpoint times where I've seen that you are someone that can have a vision of what you want it to look like or which direction we're moving. I can see that a lot in you. Because we used to talk about this a lot when you were younger, because you'd always say, I'm not creative and I
Hmm.
don't do this. And I'm like, Haley, you are very creative. You're always, especially in the visual things. And this is also, you have the 64 up there too, is also, very visualizing or visual energy type thing. And
Hmm.
I just think it's such a part of you, you don't necessarily recognize it. Of course, you're also a projector. So you
I
have trouble
don't recognize
recognizing.
things in myself very well at all.
Well,
I'm
you
always
need
like,
to work
you
on
tell
that.
me what you see, please.
I see you perfect. You're my little angel. Come to earth. Oh, everybody's like, "Whoa." Okay. All right. So let's move up to gate 39.
Okay.
Another interesting energy here. It's called obstruction,
Ooh.
and it's the gate of provocation.
Does Ian have this one?
That's so rude. Does he have it? No, he does
Oh,
not.
well,
Um,
that is him though.
wow. I mean,
He knows I love him.
when you're trying to look at it, then you might think that, but really it connects to that 55. And
Hmm.
so the provocation there is, well, the pressure there from this gate is the pressure to find passion and spirit in life and the pressure to emote or to have feelings, emotions, right, to
When you
the
explain it, I
moodiness.
don't think Ian has it.
No, because it's a very deeply emotional and rich energy.
Mm,
Okay, because
okay.
that 3955, the whole channel, what is that? It's called emoting. Yeah, that channel is called emoting. Hold on,
Yes,
let me make sure that's
I
right.
remember that.
It is right, right? Emoting.
I'm pretty sure.
And I've heard that, yeah, people, I have the
I mean,
55,
if you
but
said 39 was about showing emotion, then it would make sense that the whole channel is called the emote.
emoting. And so, when we talked about the emotional solar plexus, a lot of that energy there is, and especially in this channel, is really in the mood. this this 3955, then going up 2212, that is very much about how the moods feel, right? How do
Mm.
you,
Mm-hmm.
it's moody energy that it connects to in the solar plexus. And so people with this gate can be very musical, very creative, very passionate people.
Mm.
It's also a very challenging and provocative energy. And this provoking, this poking, it
Mm-hmm.
can be lighthearted poking, a little bit of fun, kind of
Mm-hmm.
rubbing up against things, or it can be rather harsh at times.
Mm.
But also, we're talking about energetics. And so it's not always conscious that people are doing this. Like, I have a
Right.
friend who has this as her sun gate. And so it's part of her incarnation cross, this and the 38. And so that is the cross of tension. I don't know which one it is. There's a couple of them. What if it's right angle, left? I don't remember. But
Mm-hmm.
I do know that this plays out in her life by her not understanding how people react to her, because her intentions may be something, but she brings this energy with her that just kind of provokes people, whether she's doing anything or not, because it's provoking them into what do you what are you
I'm
squinting
trying
at?
to figure out who it is.
I'm not going to tell you. Um, it's the provocations designed to help people restore this awareness of abundance and spirit, because that gate 55 is that abundance and spiritual energy of knowing that your abundance and everything comes from your connection within, and your
Mm.
emotions, and all the stuff that you create with your emotional energy and how you're feeling and your connectedness. And so this energy is helping people connect with that. But to be fair, from what I understand, for people that have the full channel, these can be really people that are quite moody and can have these highs and lows. Like,
Mm.
and
Mm-hmm.
especially if that root pulse energy is not currently there. I mean, they physically are people that, might not be able to just get it together.
Mm-hmm.
you know, it can also, struggle maybe with depression and everything, because it is a tricky energy. But also on the upside, people with this gate can
Mm-hmm.
be referred to as our teachers, because if you think about a good teacher, is somebody that in school that you had, that somebody that made you think, kind of
Yeah.
pushed you a little
Yeah.
bit, trying to make you expand and make you grow into something. And that's what this energy is helping you do.
Makes you think outside of the box.
Yeah. And so they make us uncomfortable in a way, because that's how you get
That's how you
things to.
change.
Hmm. Hmm. And to look beyond the immediate appearances of things. And so in the high expression of this energy, it's pushing us out of habits or beliefs or thought forms, that we may have, that's been keeping us stuck in an
Mm.
idea that there's not enough, or that illusion of not enoughness, and help us shift an awareness towards there's more than enough. There's this abundance of spirit. So, anyways, okay. So, yeah, okay. That's gate 39. So, last one, gate 19,
Da, da, da.
called approach, gate of approach, gate of wanting, or in quantum human design called the gate of attunement. And this is the pressure to be sensitive to basic needs.
I have this one.
um, huh?
I have
Oh,
this one.
yeah. Oh, you definitely have this.
Oh.
It's a
Oh.
very sensitive energy. There's a real need for kind of being honest with how you're feeling, because it's a sensitivity that helps make us those decisions of. It's in that 1949, the synthesis. It's helping us if you remember the solar plexus, because it goes 1949 and it's in that tribal energy of the contracts and agreements, who the
Hmm.
bonding, marriage and divorce in this
Black and
channel.
white. Hmm.
Right. Black and white. Yeah, because it's this sensitivity, this energy of whether to enter into relationships or not. And if it doesn't feel good, it's probably not going to be a good relationship. So these people are very sensitive to shifts in emotional energy. And it's, some of the research I was like, it says, especially if you have children who carry this energy, parents, disciplining them in a way it's gentle, less extreme emotional expressions, a lot of emoting, yelling, can be harsh for someone with gate 19, especially if they're emotionally undefined, which, you know, that coupled with a lot of other things in your design makes sense why I never really had to discipline you that much.
Oh no.
I always said Haley was her biggest disciplinarian.
Yes.
You would always be like, I just can't disappoint you. And one time,
That's all it took.
I know I quite often did not really have to express
Mm-mm.
expectations to you. You already had them all. Of course, with all your openness, you may have just, picked that up, but which I thought was really funny. Um, gate 19, gate of sensitivity, can also be very sensitive to touch. And that means things touching your skin, like tags. You've got to touch everything,
I do have
see
to
how it
touch
feels.
everything.
Hmm. See how it feels.
The
Um,
way your skin feels when it
yeah,
touches
because
itself.
yeah, because emotional energy, there is going to be that, especially in relationships, an intimate relationship, how things feel. Touch is very of relationships is how things feel. So yes, they say get a very sensitive skin, tactile senses, touching things, which I know that's so true, and
Hmm.
prefer soft fabrics. And
Oh,
then
for sure.
they can also have very sensitive palates and can discern the difference between tastes and texture.
Oh.
When I read this part, it just cracks me up because it says like you could switch like brands of oatmeal or something very bland, and this person could probably tell you the difference. Like, why'd you start using that one? I don't know. It's different. I don't like it, which is funny. So yeah, very sensitive. And this is also a gate that's very sensitive to animals and
Mm.
communicating with animals, and animals feel good to them. And it's very beneficial for someone with gate 19 to have maybe animals around or pets around them. It's very soothing.
As my
Yeah.
dog snores in the background.
Yeah. So again, that's the sensitivity because it's that energy of when the timing is right, if it feels good, if it feels right, who to enter into emotional relationships with. And so that is the trip around the root center. And I think there might be in the future a part two to the root center
Mm.
because I want to go into more depth around the time and timing aspects of it.
Hmm.
Of since it's an on and off energy, and you don't know what is going to happen. As my teacher and mentor Karen Curry Parker says, you you can't like set the timing, but you can influence timing. Like you can't
Mm.
control it, the timing, but you can
Hmm.
influence it, meaning you can be prepared. And how, when you work with these energies, whether you are defined or undefined here,
Hmm.
when you work with certain aspects with these energies, when the time is right, when your strategy and authority shows you the time is right, you're in a better position to follow through and maximize that pulse of energy and be able to work with those energies and start moving in the direction you want to go. So
Yes,
that's,
please tell me that.
I know.
Mhm.
But yeah, we'll definitely come back to that because this episode's long enough for sure. And I hope everybody out there listening likes a little more longer in-depth episode because I really
Oh,
do
I
try to
love it.
make them shorter sometimes. I just fail. There's so much to talk
No.
about. Yeah.
No, because there's so many layers.
So
So
many
many
layers.
layers.
So many layers. Anyways, so that's our episode for today. Unless you have some more things to talk about, any more insights, Miss Root Center?
I don't think so. But I think the root's my favorite because I have so much definition.
And you're very symmetrical there.
It is.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I can learn a lot from these gates through the two of you because you guys both have a lot of definition there. And you're, like I said, your father and I, neither one of us have any gates defined there. Uh, I mean, honestly, it's a miracle we've ever gotten anything accomplished.
It's because he's the manifesting.
It's true. He does just, but with our open heads and our open roots and open will centers, like, I still think
Well,
it's,
that's how you ended up with me and Ian.
yeah, I guess. Well, that's one way. So anyway, so that's the root center, and we'll wrap it up. And I'm gonna go make some dinner and enjoy the rest of my evening. I hope you do the same,
Yeah.
everybody out there. And
Listener.
listener. And I do want to point out, whether you're new or if you want just a better visual component to what we're talking about a lot, I do, it's in the show notes, but also my website, humandesignhive.com. There is a free 2-part video training on there on really the elements and the parts of the chart to give you some good visuals there of what we're talking about with the channels and the gates and the centers. So it's like a real, like, just how to get started, with human design, which this podcast is also a little more in depth. But if you like visuals, it's there, and there will be more to come there as we move forward of products you can dive into on your own over there. And of course, as always, if you want any help with navigating your design, you can also book a reading with me, and I'd love to help you out. So with that being said, Haley, I think it's time to say goodbye. So
Yes.
goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. See you later. You made it all the way to the end of today's episode, so you must have liked what you heard. If you did, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode, and perhaps leave us a good review. And if you know someone who wants to dig into all things human design with us, make sure you share the Human Design Hive podcast with them. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks for listening.